Soto rips one high in the air, deep center field. See you later.
All right, folks. Welcome to Sports Talk here on with Chris Heidel, and the San Diego Padres just finalized the deal this evening to get Juan Soto from the Washington Nationals. Source telling ESPN is one of the biggest baseball contracts in history. So it's that's what's going on here on the August. Look at the trade there. San Diego gets Soto and Bell, and the Nationals get basically the entire roster of the San Diego Padres. So that's what's going on here. Folks, thanks for joining us here on Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. I'm Chris Heidel with Adam Remize down there in beautiful North Carolina. George Fischera is on assignment, and Steve Zulich is in transit. We don't know where he is. So just want to let you all know that. Coming up here on the program here tonight, we have a great show for you. Coming up at 7:05 and 5 minutes or 4 minutes, Dave Barnett, the former voice of ESPN Sports, but he does a lot of stuff with North Texas and the Mean Green. They're going to be on the road this year, week 0 against UTEP. Yeah, it's a Conference USA matchup, so he'll be joining us in a few minutes. And then around 7:20, 7:30, we'll play some of our Florida State interviews I had from the ACC Kickoff. And then around 7:30, Daniel Wilcox will be joining us here on the program. And if you remember Daniel Wilcox, he used to play for the Ravens and Bucks, so a little highlight there. He'll be joining us. And also around 8:30 this evening, Dexter Carter will be joining us as well. So hopefully you folks will be enjoying that, watching some former NFL players. See right there. So tonight at 7:30, Daniel Wilcox, and 8:30, Dexter Carter joining us here. So so here's so what do you think about the trade deadline there, Adam?
Wow, I mean, seeing all these trades, surprised we didn't see like JD Martinez get traded from the Red Sox. I mean, and this deal with Juan Soto going to the Padres. Wow, could this trade make the Padres a contender in the NL West? Well, you got to get around the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they actually play. I believe it's a 3-game series this weekend out in LA. So all eyes are gonna be on the West Coast, possibly going forward until we get to the postseason.
Right, exactly. So let's bring in Dave Barnett, who you folks here on the East Coast probably heard him a lot when he was working for ESPN, some ESPN football. But now he's in North Texas, doing the Mean Green of North Texas. So, Dave, how you doing? And welcome to the show.
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So how's life in North Texas? I know you guys you're doing the Mean Green football. They came off a tough bowl loss, but still a great season last year.
It was a surprising season that was really two separate seasons. Started off with a win and then lost 6 straight, mostly because most of the receiving core was injured. And that's a problem for an air raid team, that expects to average minimum 300 passing yards a game. So mid-season, Seth Luttrell had to do a complete non-air raid coach thing and turn the team into a power running outfit. And they immediately won 5 straight, qualified for a bowl, and became the number 5 rushing team in the country. So, it speaks to what can be done in an air raid system. When Seth took the job, now 6 years ago, he said his definition of a balanced offense was one where you can pass when you want to and need to, and run when you want to and need to. It's not necessarily you throw X amount of times and run X amount of times. So he proved that last year. A season that was going nowhere turned into a bowl season, which makes this year interesting because, they're counting on just having better luck, basically, in the injury department at wide receiver. Veteran quarterback is back. Most of the running backs, most of the offensive linemen are back. And so they also had one of the most improved defenses in the country last year. And Phil Bennett's first as coordinator. And so those are the reasons for optimism.
Hey, Adam, you got a question?
First of all, I know about your storied career, Dave, so it's an honor and pleasure to talk with you. And you've been the voice of the many sports down there in Texas. So one of them was the Texas Rangers. So tell us what it was like to be the voice of the Texas Rangers. I believe you were the voice when they played the stadium before they moved to Globe Life Park.
Right. Globe Life Field, which is now got a different entirely. It's now a football stadium, actually. Yeah, I mean, I've had good timing through my career. When I was hired, a team was
even in Austin expected Texas to make it.
Case with the Rangers. My second year with them, they won the first of 2 straight American League championships. Played in back-to-back World Series. Somehow managed to lose in 2011, despite twice being 1 strike away. But those were peak times. And for a team that I followed as a kid, I mean, they moved from Washington when I was 13 years old. So obviously that was a thrill and really a thrill to see how excited the area got, which had never seen anything beyond a division championship a couple of times and then a quick exit from the divisional round. And so to make it to back-to-back World Series and, come as close as they did is still painful and will always be painful, but it was still a definite career highlight.
Yeah, and those Texas Rangers teams were very good because they had Juan Gonzalez, and then you probably saw Nolan Ryan in his prime, not his prime, but his heyday. Pitching those no hitters and coming out of that, pitching 100 pitches, and the next day he's throwing batting practice, and he's a real pitcher, not like one of these pitchers today. Like you pitch 5 innings and you only threw 50 pitches and you're gone.
Yeah. It's fun to think about what the managers of today would do with a Nolan Ryan or a Bob Gibson or a Sandy Koufax or guys from that era who just were not going to leave the mound. They were out there for 9 innings and sometimes well over 9 innings. To see them in this era where you're treated like you just threw a marathon if you go 6. That's just a fun mental exercise. It would never happen. But I missed that era. And yeah, I got to see, the sort of the tail end of Nolan, but the tail end of Nolan was still his 6th and 7th no hitters and setting the strikeout records and his 300th win. And so, yeah, we will not see his like again ever. I think I can say that with complete conviction. There was and will only ever be one Nolan Ryan.
Right. Well, let's talk about the game coming up on August 27th. The Mean Green rolling into Texas El Paso and take on UTEP. That's a nice stadium for the Sun Bowl. I know the guy who runs the Sun Bowl, Bernie Everlivas. He's a nice guy. It looks like a nice stadium in the mountains, so it looks pretty cool.
Oh, it is. It's very picturesque. They get a national shot every year of the Sun Bowl on CBS, and based on the fact that they had a winning season last year, first under Dana Demmel, made a bowl. They're making a big push to sell out the Sun Bowl, which hasn't happened in a number of years. Last I saw, they were already well over 30,000 tickets. That's way more than they had for any home game last year, and so they may get it up to 46,000. So it's unusual that they're playing in August because usually this is one of the last regular season games on the schedule for both these teams. But with the conference reshuffling, and this is North Texas's last year in Conference USA, and a few teams have already left Conference USA, so they had to move a lot of games around on the schedule, and this was one of them. So it'll probably be 105 degrees on August 27th.
Hopefully it's not a snowstorm. Because I know sometimes they play the Sun Bowl in the snow. If you have Miami and Washington State play each other in the Sun Bowl, you might get a snowstorm. That's what they had the last couple of times down there. I was like, really? Like
all 46,000 people would welcome a snowstorm on August 27th.
yeah, exactly.
Including me.
Yeah, you were just touching about they are leaving Conference USA. They're moving on to a better conference. Are they on? Where are they off to again?
The American
Okay.
next year, AAC, along with a big swath of Conference USA is making that same move. UTSA, Rice, UAB, FAU. I think I'm leaving somebody out.
I think Charlotte's going.
Charlotte,
Charlotte's going to AAC.
Yeah, Charlotte. So, that's the current landscape of college football. Is wherever you were last year is probably a 50-50 chance you'll be somewhere different next year.
Adam, you got a question?
Yeah, you were also, like I mentioned, you were the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Were you there? And you were there when David Robinson was playing. So, what was it like to call some of David's games when you were the voice of the Spurs?
Well, again, great timing. My first year there, they were 21-61. They had hoped to get David from the Navy 1 year out as opposed to the usual 2 years out. But the determination was, no, he was going to have to sit out 2 full years. He'd been drafted 87, didn't show up until 89, 90. And then immediately the Spurs, who became a dynasty, were starting to get the building blocks put into place. That first year under David, biggest 1 year turnaround at NBA history, improved by 35 wins, a contender every year. It wasn't until Tim got there that David finally got his championships. But there were a few Spurs teams that a missed free throw here or there, and they could have won a few more even before they won their 5. So just an amazing time. The Spurs are all San Antonio has. Now San Antonio's getting behind UTSA football. But as far as a pro sport, it's right up there with the Alamo in terms of how people in San Antonio value the franchise. And so being there and seeing a million people get that kind of excitement night in, night out with so many great teams, again, it was a privilege to be there on the front row.
That's cool. That's awesome. And David Robinson is from this area. He went to Navy, and that guy's a tall dude. I think I saw him a couple times, in person. I was like, whoa, that guy's huge.
7'1".
Yeah. It's just like Patrick Ewing. I was in the locker room down in Orlando, and he comes out of the locker room, and I'm looking up going, hi, Patrick, please don't hurt me. I'm a nice guy. It's like, he's so tall. I was like, wow. But those players, when you see them in person, you're like, man, what did they have for dinner? I'm like, wow.
Well, yeah, and then you think, how would I stop this person if he wanted to dunk me through the basket? And you couldn't.
No. Exactly. So what's the plans for the rest of your summer? Before you have to go out to El Paso, what's on the Dave's schedule?
Stay out of the 105 degrees.
That's a good idea.
Which is pretty much every day. Now it's to the point of preparation. Teams are in fall camp now. That started a few days ago for North Texas, and the materials, the printed stuff that we read and go through to prepare, that's starting to come out too. And so that's basically it. Just get ready for another long campaign.
Well, football's just around the corner, so that's a good thing. Everybody's going to get ready for some football, and then by the time the wintertime comes around, we're going to go, what happened in the season? Yeah. Yeah. Like something happened here. So.
Even the bad seasons are like that. Even the bad seasons seem to go by too fast.
Exactly.
That's been my experience anyway.
Yeah. Well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on tonight, and enjoy the rest of your summer. And that game is on August 27th at 9:30 on Stadium. If you have Stadium on your package, I think you get it on Pluto, or something like that. One of those networks you can watch it, and that'll be a great game to watch on the 27th.
I think it's going to be 9 Eastern.
9 Eastern
on the 27th, right?
Yeah. So, all right, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, see you. Bye.
For having me.
You're welcome. See you. Bye. All right, that's Dave Barnett, the voice of North Texas, the Mean Green.
Mean Green Machines
Exactly.
down in North Texas.
Exactly. Mean Green there. That game's on August 27th. Tonight we're going to continue our trip around week 0 here in the college football season. We got some other games coming up as well. We're going to talk to Wyoming. They're going to make a trip to Illinois to take on Illinois for the first time. And then Vanderbilt is going to be making a trip to Hawaii to take on the Rainbow Warriors and see how they could knock off. These 4 teams have never played each other. There's no stats. There's no nothing.
Well, actually, Chris, during the college baseball season, Vanderbilt, I believe they went to Hawaii for, I think, the 3-game series over in Honolulu. So it's like it's going to be a good experience for the Commodores. They get to go from hot Nashville to hot Honolulu, and plus the time difference is going to be, they're going to get used to that.
Yeah, I think the time difference, I think the game is actually, I think it's like 10:30 Eastern time, our time, and it's actually out there. It's probably 2:30 Hawaii time. So it's like in the afternoon.
I believe, yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. So a couple weeks ago, this guy right here hopped on a plane, and we don't talk about the plane trips anymore around here because it was fun, but kind of came home and we had some stuff we had to take care of here at the house. But I had a chance to go talk to some Florida State players down there at the ACC Kickoff, and they're pretty cool players. Some of the players I talked to were. Let me bring up here. Fabian Lovett, who is a defensive tackle from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Talked to him, and then also I talked to Jordan Travis, during the breakout session, and then another guy who's on the Jim Thorpe awards list, the preseason watch list, Jamal Robinson. We talked to him during the ACC Kickoff. So here's one of the questions I had a chance to talk to. Let's bring this up here. Let's bring in Fabian. Had a chance to speak to him during the break. They had a media session with all the media people in the room down there in Charlotte. So I had a privilege to talk to him and ask him a question.
Hey, Fabian. Chris Heidel from Herb FM Radio in Baltimore. The first 3 games were really close, close losses. What did you guys learn from those close losses that might help you this year, knowing you could have to finish these games instead of, trying to close them out?
Just focus on finishing the game and not focusing on so much on the score right now. Focus on each play, everything that's going on. Don't just focus because we're winning and we're up now. It's all about finishing the game strong. If you don't finish the game strong, you still can lose no matter what the score is.
Fabian, thank you. You'll switch places now with.
Yeah, so Fabian, I had a privilege to speak to him, during the ACC Kickoff. So nice guy. Florida State last year, 5-7, had a chance to go to a bowl game, and lost to Florida in the last game of the year. So hopefully this year they play against Duquesne. Speaking of Duquesne, we have we're going to talk a little bit about Duquesne football because we have coming up in. Let me bring up the schedule here. Coming up at 7:45, we have Ryan Webb, who is a kid from Edgewood, Maryland, who basically graduated from local guy, playing college football up there in Pittsburgh, and he's going to be taking on Florida State on week 0, and that game is on August 27th at 5:00 on the ACC network. So Adam, what do you think about Fabian? I think he might be one of those people that you not give himself credit. Might be a good defensive tackle.
I believe so, Chris. And I like the question that you asked him. Hopefully Florida State can turn it around this year. As you mentioned, they lost to Florida, so they didn't go to a bowl game. And a lot of Florida State fans, they want the return of where Florida State used to be. But I think it's going to take time and patience. And first game of the year is down in New Orleans against LSU, neutral field. So
that's actually the second game of the year because
the second game of the year. That's right. yeah, so it's you know, there'll probably be a lot of Florida State fans, make the trip from Tallahassee or to New Orleans. So hopefully Florida State can start off 1-0 compared to, well,
you have to win that game because you're going into New Orleans to take on Brian Kelly, who you played against last year when he was with Notre Dame, and this is a new Brian Kelly with the LSU Tigers, and you don't know what you're going to see. And this is LSU's first game of the year, besides Florida State's second game of the year. So LSU will know what Florida State's going to bring to the kitchen table, and show. And it might be another tough game down there in New Orleans. Speaking of tough guy, this guy Jordan Travis, the quarterback from Florida State, he's a tough guy. That guy gets more. Steve, he gets more whacks. He gets knocked out more, and he still comes back to in the huddle.
He's popping up.
Yeah, I talked to him off the mic at the ACC Kickoff that Wednesday afternoon, and I said to him, man, you take a licking, dude. And he goes, yeah, I do. I was like, please be careful this year because we really, really want you to win here this year. And he goes, yeah, no, I gotta watch myself. So I had a chance to talk to him during the breakout interviews, and I found the interview. So here it is. Thanks for the folks who, one of those people on YouTube, I'll give them their thanks a little bit later. So here's my question I asked him in this breakthrough interview.
Where do you get that from?
My toughness, and that comes just from playing football for so long. Having teammates that love me, have my family behind me, it's easy to keep going. Little nagging injuries, I can push through that because I know I got people that support me and are depending on me. But yeah, and that win against Miami was special. It was a dream come true for me, obviously, growing up with Seminoles. Watching this game my whole life, it was a perfect scenario, perfect situation.
Yeah, so that was Jordan Travis, quarterback for Florida State. He's from West Palm Beach.
He's a real. Hopefully Jordan Travis can deliver a lot of good quality wins this year. For the Seminoles, they're going to need it because the first game of the year at Duquesne, then they have to go to New Orleans, and then that ACC schedule, it ain't going to be easy for the Seminoles down there in Tallahassee.
No, it's not. Not going to be easy at all. Let's just switch gears a little bit. People just want to take people's pulse here in the world of sports here. It's the MLB trade deadline today, or last night, and there were some changes that the Orioles had to make, last night, and
Trey Mancini and Jorge
Lopez.
Yeah. Both gone.
So let me pull this up here. I have the folks from the Orioles did a really nice job, thanking Trey Mancini. I'm trying to find it because I had it here yesterday. Yeah, here it is. So, the Orioles traded, I truly think, it's just the wrong thing to do because I feel like
team was starting to come together, and now you're trading away.
So here's the trade today with Jorge Lopez being shipped to Minnesota for minor leaguers. Cave, Pavish, Cano, Rojas, and Nunez. So I don't know what the mindset of that is because how's that gonna? You're just killed. You basically have a fan base that was like excited for baseball the first time in a very long time, because normally around here when you see August 1st, we're all talking football. Like we're watching the ACC network right now, and our good friend Mark Packer is on there. But we normally around here don't talk about baseball until after August 1st. It's all Ravens football. And then today the Orioles actually did something. They got something from Tampa Bay, Brent Phillips. But to me, it's like, okay, so how's that, helping the system? And then if you didn't hear today, the Nationals, traded Juan Soto to San Diego.
I heard that.
So basically, that's so this is last night. They traded Rockabaco from Masson.com reported last night. They traded. They had a 3-team trade. It was the Rays, the Astros, and the Orioles. So the Orioles got a Rays player. The Astros got traded Mancini. And then the Rays got a Astro player or something. How they do it?
Yeah, it was one from each team. It just kind of went in a pattern.
Yeah. So here's they did a really nice tribute on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, the Orioles did a very nice job. So here it is about Trey Mancini.
So here's the rookie, Boom Boom Mancini.
For the first inning, Trey Mancini makes his major league debut. He was just called up.
Mancini in his first at bat, flied out to right field. Major league debut coming.
Yeah, welcome to the big league.
That one in the air, left center field. It is deep, and goodbye, home run. Trey Mancini, his first major league hit. His mom Beth getting to see it. He'll round the bases faster than anyone. 2 years ago, and he got it. Way back, left field. Oh, boom, boom, Mancini goes. Boom, boom again.
He's already representing. I mean, just think of what he stands for. And watch out, scoreboard. They've done it again. And Mancini is your hero tonight. Trey Mancini.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we'll try to make you proud, all right?
Okay.
Thanks, Trey, for coming in and being part of the Orioles. And I found something in my archives. I talked to him a long time ago.
Wow.
I see that.
Yeah. So, and I asked him at the time, he was a rookie, and at the time on my show, he played for Notre Dame baseball. That's why I wish George was on the program tonight. He had an assignment, and he had a nice conversation. I told him I talked to your his hitting coach on the show, and Trey was really happy that I talked to his hitting coach at Notre Dame. So he's off to Houston, where the Astros are try not to cheat.
That's what I'm saying. I said the same thing this morning. I was like, cheat Astros don't need any more players. And then again, maybe he'll go down there and send them straight and be like, look, we're here to play professional baseball, not steal signs.
Exactly. With trash cans, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right before the game, he'll come out and just take all the trash cans and put them in one spot and just leave them there for the whole game. So that way players or coaches aren't tempted to bang on the side of them for what pitch is coming.
Yeah. Well, there's other accusations today in baseball. Well, the Mets actually traded J.D. Davis to San Francisco with a couple of minor leaguers for Darren Ruff, who used to play for the Fighting Phils.
Your favorite team.
Jared Welch's Fighting Phils. Where are
the
they?
Reading Fighting Phils.
What is a fighting? Is a Philly? It's like a smoker, and so anyway, so I'm waiting for. I think I found a mosquito just looking at me. He's here on the studio. Yeah, thanks for coming, buddy. Yeah. But anyway, so so the Mets picked up some players, and so speaking of the Mets, I know a lot of people are not Met fans, but on this day, we always do like a Met history on this program. I found some cool history. Some guy named the Mets, took on the Washington Nationals. Yeah, and they beat them 5-2, and Curtis Granderson, Daniel Murphy, and Duda both hit home runs. I hope the cat could eat that thing. Come on, Petey, do your job. Yeah, and swept the Nationals, and at the time put the Mets in first place. So
by the way, speaking of baseball,
mm-hmm.
with Trey Mancini's inside the park home run Thursday night, Is that how many Orioles have done that at Camden Yards?
I don't know. That's a good question. Inside Park home runs. Yeah, normally.
I know there's not very many. I think it's like maybe 2 or 3 that have done it since Camden Yards opened. I think the last person to do it, was Adam Jones.
I want to say so. I'm pretty sure it might be.
Adam Jones was the last one who did that.
Let's see. Yeah, Inside Park. Don't tell us. I feel bad for the guy for the guy for the Rays got smacked right in the face.
Well, yeah, he's looking up and he lost the ball.
Yeah.
Like you gotta look. Like they say, you gotta keep your eye on that ball.
Keep the eye on the ball, buddy. Yeah. So it's funny. See, we're watching the ACC network, Adam, and they're talking about Steve Spurrier actually taking over Duke back in the early '90s, and they're like,
yeah.
I'm like, well, that's the last time Duke was good until Dave Cutcliffe showed up.
True.
Yeah. Florida State is 29-0 against Duke all time.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's got to be some kind of a record there, isn't it?
29-0 against what's his name? Against Duke. They have never lost to Duke at all in football.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
I guess the Seminoles have something going for them.
Yeah. If we just played Duke every year, it would be good. If we need Duke to play.
Yeah, that's right, Chris.
We should have Duke at the end of the year instead of Florida last year so we could go to a bowl game. Yeah. So we're waiting for Daniel Wilcox to join us. He's running a little late. Yeah, he's coming out of practice. Yeah, so he's on his way. So so it's interesting. A couple of days for baseball, and you see fan bases, getting upset, because they, lost some of their, like the Nationals. Basically, you can get free tickets now down there because nobody wants to go there.
Very true. Very true.
And I feel bad for that franchise because that's the old Montreal Expos, and they can't. That franchise can't.
Yeah, I mean,
that
they've
franchise,
been the redheaded stepchild of Major League Baseball over the last 20, 30 years. So
right.
I mean,
I feel bad for them. It's like they can't even can't get a break. It's like they win the World Series, in 2018, and then like 2019 comes, you have the you have the pandemic, so you basically don't have you have a half a season. You play 60 games with nobody in the stands.
Crazy.
And then 2021 comes around. And you're basically like, okay, they're trying to play in, they're doing well, and also the bottom fell out of it.
Yeah. No Steven Strasburg.
Yep. Matt Scherzer's now on the New York Mets, and it's great to have him on our roster, no matter what. Speaking of that, we'll see what the update is in the, what's his name? DeGrom's pitching right now for the Mets. We'll see what the score is.
How was your flight back from Portland, Adam?
Oh, it was really good, Steve. I'll say that trip was the best trip I've ever had. If you viewers watching, go back and on July 5th, I actually was up there at Bayside Bowl doing interviews, some of the best from the PBA Tour. So,
during that whole week while I was watching on TV, I kept looking for you in the stands, but
I was there. Trust me.
We found Nicole and I found him.
Yeah. I'll say that. I'll say this, Steve. If you watch the Elias Cup that Sunday, you want to talk about crazy there in person. Oh my gosh! I
can imagine so.
It's. Let's just say when that comeback happened, everyone there at Bayside Bowl went nuts.
Nice. So let's talk. We're waiting for Daniel Wilcox to join us here on the program. Let's talk a little bit about that suspension yesterday came down from the NFL with Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. It can't stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
The guy can't keep little Watson away from.
Yeah, that's true.
True, Chris. That's true.
It's like the guy had 29 lawsuits,
29 accounts against him,
and basically he settled 24 of them, and the NFL gives him 6 games. So he sat out last year, so that's 17 games.
Yeah,
6 games. So he hasn't played in 23 games.
That's right. That's right, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but you got other people like Ray Rice who got the shaft because somebody took a picture, video in an elevator.
Ezekiel Elliott got 6 games for something that he did in Vegas. I believe a wide receiver from the Falcons.
Right.
He
betted
gambled and look what happened to him.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like, why are you people giving these people opportunities?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
It's like you get, the NFL. I mean, I can understand you screw up. You get a little slap on the hand, but if you keep doing it repeatedly, 2, 3, 5, 6 times, there's got to be a line to where, you got to really, put your foot down.
Thank you, Steve. Yes.
I heard on my way over here, on 98 Rock tonight that the LIV golf tour, which is the one done by the Saudi Arabia or whatever.
Yeah.
They offered Tiger Woods $800 million to join the league, and he said no.
Well, because Tiger Woods is one of those old school golfers, and if he joined a new league, he was going to lose his tour card.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Chris.
He didn't want to be. We'll say he doesn't do a good job at this league, this new tour. He's out of playing golf.
True. That's right.
And the other thing is that most of the players that have joined that LIV league are kind of on the downside of their careers.
Well, the only reason why Phil Nicholson joined it because he was getting tired of whatever is going on in the PGA Tour, and he just wants to, And so we're just waiting for him to, waiting for Daniel, to join us.
And,
so anyway,
I believe that Charles Barkley was offered a lot of money, to go be an analyst, for the LIV golf tour.
And he said no to that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Saudi's got money and they can just float around like it's nothing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody offered me $800 million to go do something, that I was good at, but, it was a controversial league, could I use the money? Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to spend it all in my lifetime. So, but, you got to think of it in the long term, how's this going to help my career down the road?
Right.
True, Steve.
Yeah. You have questions? Just email us. Here's Daniel. All right, let's bring in Daniel here. Let's ask his take on this Deshaun Watson thing. Let's bring him in. Hey, Daniel, how you doing, bud?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sure. Thanks for coming on tonight. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. How you guys doing?
Not bad. We were just talking about this Deshaun Watson suspension. What's your take on this whole thing? This is a load of crap, pretty much, because you have somebody who got indicted 29 times. And then you were with Baltimore. Did you get a chance to play with Ray Rice?
Yes, I did. I actually played one season with Ray and Flacco before I retired.
Yeah, and then Ray Rice gets the shaft with his situation, and gets suspended for the whole entire year. And then you got all these other clowns, getting 6 games and this game and that. What's your take on this whole NFL garbage?
Well, the Deshaun case is a little weird, right? He actually set out 16 games last year.
Right.
But we kind of forget that he set out all last season too. So even though they suspended him 6, they really suspended him all last year too as well. So, sitting out a whole season plus another 6 games, that's a pretty hefty charge, hefty fine. So I think he kind of got off with time served. But we're not. I just people only remember what you did last, so that's all that matters. Like the Ravens sucked last year because they had 100,000 injuries. and nobody remember how great they were the year before. So it's the same thing with Deshaun's situation. Anytime it's an NFL guy that gets into a situation, of course, I'm a little bit biased. I'm an alumni member. I played the game for a long time. I respect my brothers. I understand how much pressure is put on us to be perfect, and nobody's perfect. He basically got in trouble for basically overly flirting with women. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
He was overly flirting with women, and he was being overly suggestive. And they could have said yes, they could have said no. But they felt pressured because of who he is. And right. Sometimes that happens. We get a lot of that. We get a lot of that as well, man.
Yeah, you're talking about the pressure of being an NFL player. We'll just talk about that real quick. The pressure of you get people calling you like me and everybody else, asking to come on shows and doing interviews and all that stuff. And it's hard because you're trying to balance your time between family and work and all that stuff. And a lot of people don't understand that you're a human being, just you and I, like you and I are. Right. And you have stuff to do, and people get upset. And then if you say something during a practice, or to a fan or something, they take it as like, "Oh, he's rude to fans."
Yeah, well, I've seen it from every angle, right? I've always been a lower tier guy. I wasn't like the cream of the crop guy in the NFL. So I hung out with the guys that were special. The Ed Reeds, the Deion Sanders, the Ray Lewises. One thing I can respect. If you catch Deion and he's by himself, or Ray when they by themselves, they'll usually sign autographs. They usually won't be rude. But if you catch them with their family, it's like, no, not right now. I'm not at work right now. This is family time. This is me and my wife, me and my kids. And that's the only time I've ever seen those guys be disrespectful. Now, a guy like myself, it doesn't matter who you catch me with. I'm going to be like, all right, man, I got you. You need an address. You need an autograph or a picture. I'll take that picture. I'll sign an autograph. But you're talking about if Ray Lewis or Deion Sanders or a guy like Ed Reed or Suggs signed one autograph or take one picture, it's going to be 200 million people over there doing the same thing, trying to do the same thing. And he's like, they try to separate, when they're with their families and when they're at work and stuff like that. They'll sign autographs after practice and after games, before practice, but when they're with their families, they want that time to be spent with their families and families only.
Right,
and that's what they should be. I mean, right. They don't get to see their families, pretty much during the season because they're, you're either playing at home or you could be playing, M&T Bank one week and then next week you can be playing, in Oakland or somewhere out on the West Coast. So you're gone for a week. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a toll on them.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. I mean, it does take its toll on you. You spend a lot of time away from your family. That's why when most of us retire, if you listen to the retirement speeches, now I'm gonna go be a dad. Now I'm gonna go be a husband. I'm gonna give my wife the time that that she's deserved, that she missed. It takes a special woman to marry an NFL player or NBA or Major League Baseball player or any athletics sports period, even track. So it takes a very special person to be their partner because we dedicate so much of ourselves to the sport that we're playing, and it's more than being. I mean, I guess it's kind of like being a lawyer, kind of like being a doctor. You got to prepare for every single case. Every surgery is different. Every client is different. And it's like that. When we go play games, it's like we're playing against a different client. We're going with another client. We got to prepare for that client. We got to execute that job to a T. So we spend a ton of time watching film, ton of time studying at home. Even though we're at home, we're still disengaged. The kids can't bother us and be climbing all over us while we're trying to watch film. And we have to find a room that's dark and to ourselves. And we spend just as much time in that dark room watching film as we do, at the facility, the practice facility. And, you see coaches sleep on the couch and, your John Grudens and, your Harbaughs and stuff like that. They never want to leave the facility, but our wives actually like us.
What's a basic day in the life of a NFL player? Like from when you first get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, what's kind of like your day, based on?
So that's a great question. So an average day, every day of the week is almost different for us. But I mean, we pretty much get up at 5 a.m. every single morning. Most people don't realize that it's a full-time job. They think we just go and play on Sundays, right? But Monday, a typical Monday for us, if we win, it's a victory Monday. So we may get that day off or part of that day off. If we lose, everybody's working. We're in the office, early, 5 a.m. We're in the weight room by 6. When we finish lifting, we may have a split second to grab something to eat. And then you're going straight to meetings at 8 a.m. Meeting starts usually at 8 a.m. If you got to get treatment, you've already gotten treatment at 5:30, 6:30, 7 o'clock, whenever you could get that treatment. So you get that treatment in between that time as well, between 5 and 8. You also got to get breakfast in between 5 and 8. You got to live treatment and breakfast before you get to your first meetings at 8 a.m. Once you get to that first meeting is usually a team meeting. So it's everybody. That's the head coach, the entire staff, offense and defense, all the special teams, everybody's in that big meeting. Once you finish the team meeting, that may last 20, 30 minutes. Once you finish that team meeting, you break down into team meetings like special teams, offense, defense meetings. As soon as you finish offense and defense meeting, that may take an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then you break down, then you go into position meetings. Wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, DBs, linebackers, everybody got their own meeting room. All right. Then once you finish that meeting, it's usually time for you got just enough time to usually grab a quick bite, grab lunch, get taped up, and then get to the field. You got practice right away. If you see media on your way to practice, you usually stop and say hi, but not much. Now you see they do everything with the quick social media blast where the guys are walking out shaking and waving because they got a camera set up for them because we don't have time to really spend a lot of time talking. You got to get taped up if you got to get taped up. If you need treatment before practice, you got to get treatment before practice. If you got to get in the hot tub, you get warmed up before practice, you got to do it before practice. So you might have a 20-minute window to eat, hot tub, get taped, and you got to wait in line to get taped. It's only like 5 or 6 trainers.
Right.
So you got to wait in line to get taped and all that stuff. So you got to plan it accordingly. Some guys get taped before they go eat. Some get taped after they go eat, whatever it may be. Then we do a practice for 2 or 3 hours. And as soon as we finish with practice, we got enough time to shower, grab a snack, and go right back to meetings. Right. Once we go back to meetings, that may last till about 6 or 7 o'clock at night, depending on the coach. It could go a little bit later. If you're one of those guys that like to get all your work in at the facility, you may get treatment one more time before you leave to go home. If not, you may go watch some extra film, some more extra game film, and go talk to the coach, get a little bit of extra love or breakdown on whatever it is you're trying to see for the game. And then you leave to go home finally. Usually it's about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, but you've been at the office since 6 a.m. So that's pretty much Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday is a little bit short version of that day. And Saturday is usually travel day if you got a game away. If you don't have a game away, then it's a short day that day. Tuesday is the only day we get off during the week. And we usually spend that if you're a guy like me, I spent Tuesday, every single Tuesday in the community in Baltimore doing something. I donated my off time to the community of Baltimore. So a lot of us do that. If I have an event going on, Ray may show up, Dion, Reed, Suggs, everybody may come, and if they banged up and beat up Tuesday, you still got to go get treatment too.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Daniel, what are you doing next Tuesday? Because I wanted to break down this Tennessee Titans game, next
Tuesday
Thursday.
Is my mandatory day off. No, I'm just playing. No, whatever you want to do, Chris, let's do it. No, whatever you want to do, brother. If you want to go again Tuesday, we can go again.
Yeah, we'll do it again next Tuesday. We'll preview the Tennessee Titans game because I know the Ravens played the Titans last year and it was a good game and all that stuff. And this is just preseason, but what are you looking forward in the preseason? We'll do a more in depth next Tuesday, and we'll love to have you on during the season if that works as well.
Absolutely. I would love to come on. I already got my own podcast, Believe in the Ravens podcast on the Believe Network. So I got that thing going on. So, Chris, you guys are always fun to work with. So, whatever you guys want, whenever you need me, I appreciate you guys being flexible and understanding that my schedule is haywire. My 17-year-old decided to finally come move with his dad. Yeah. And, it's kind of thrown my life in a whole tornado type whirlwind spin of trying to get him enrolled in school. So
nice swing. Yeah, nice baseball swing. I was watching that swing. Nice swing.
He didn't get that from me. When I used to swing I used to swing it like an axe, man. It was just swinging that thing like an axe. So he definitely gifted. But he's here with his dad now. So I'm spending a lot of time going these in and out of town to these tournaments and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys being flexible.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on more, but we got a big lineup here. So let's bring in Ryan Webb, a local kid from here in beautiful, from Edgewood, Maryland, but he's up in Pennsylvania playing for Duquesne. So Ryan, thanks for joining us. How are you doing up there?
I'm doing pretty good, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So you must be excited, week 0 against Florida State. What was it like getting that schedule like?
It's pretty exciting getting the opportunity, just being able to play against a FBS school. I know last season we played against TCU and we played against Ohio. So games like that is always a good opportunity just to show that our team can compete with the bigger schools. So my team, we're all ready. We're preparing each and every day. We're in camp right now, so we're working to just be prepared for the game.
That's true. So let's just talk about what's going on. Sorry, we had a little hiccup here in my old house here in Cockeysville. Just talk about the preparation. You guys are in camp right now. You started this past Tuesday or last week. Getting ready for this game.
Yeah, we started, I believe, July 27th.
Okay.
Pretty much we're lifting, practice, walkthroughs, meetings, pretty much on a daily basis. Lifting is like almost every other day, but meetings and practice and walkthroughs are pretty much every day. We're out there working pretty hard, just making sure we're ready for our first game.
Yeah. Well, talk about last year. You guys had a good season. You guys played some tough games against TCU, and you won a big game against Ohio University. So that must have been a great win. I know you didn't play well. You didn't play a lot of games because you were injured, but you got a chance to experience that on the sidelines. That must have been something like you must have been chomping at the bit going, get me in here, man. Get me in here. Come on. You give me some kind of cortisone shot or something. Let me get something out there. Let's go. But what did you learn from sitting there watching these guys? Because this is you're using the COVID year to play an extra year, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Fortunately, last season against TCU in the first half, I had a pass breakup. I ended up falling on my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder, tore my labrum. So the injury, it was a long process in order for me to get back. But I was definitely there, wanting to support my team every step of the way, helping my teammates out, helping them to get better. But it was definitely exciting. I know we played Ohio, getting our first win against a FBS school. The team was pretty excited. I think we have a great group of guys, though, on the team overall, and that was how we were able to do things such as beat Ohio last year. But we're just looking to honestly build on the things that we did last year well and just continue to improve.
Right. That's true. You got a question for a local kid from Edgewood?
What's it like transitioning from where you played at Edgewood to now playing in, college level?
So coming out of college, I actually went to Marist College first. I ended up transferring here to Duquesne as a graduate student. But college is definitely it's a different level. Everything's a lot faster. You're expected to work harder. There's a lot more lifting. I know in high school you would be able to get away with not practicing hard. You could come and perform on Friday nights or whatever night you played the game. But college is different. You got to work pretty much every day to prepare for these games that are coming up. So I would really say that's the biggest difference, in just being able to manage your time, both school and football as well. So
that's true. Well, Ryan, I had an interview. I talked to the Florida State head coach down in the ACC Kickoff, and I talked to your coach, Coach Smith, a couple weeks ago. When we had a power outage, he came on a Wednesday. Cool coach. I love Coach Jerry. So this is Coach Mike Novell, and I asked him about playing you guys, because a lot of people don't give you guys credit, because I think like you guys, I saw not you, but the team a couple of years ago at Towson University in the rain, just literally a Towson team that was really good at the time, and moved on in the playoffs. So I want to ask Mike Novell what he thinks about you guys, and this is what he said. So here it is. Hey, Coach Mike. Talk about the game against Duquesne coming up in first game of the year.
I'm sorry?
Against Duquesne, first game of the year. What do you see from them? I know that's like one of those, I don't want to call it a trap game because we got LSU next week, but
it's a team that coming in first game of the season. That new coordinator, defensively, so you're trying to get a great sense of all things from a schematic approach. But in all reality, and it's the first game, the second game, all things that you do in preparing leading up to a season, you want to have a great sense, but the ultimate focus has to be and trying to establish identity of who you're going to be, taking all of the players that we have and hopefully putting them in the best position to go out and play at a high level, and that's going to be our focus. And we're excited about the opportunity to kick off the season at home and playing Duquesne, a team that has had success, a team that I know will come in with confidence through their work, and we're excited about the opportunity to go out there and have our first experience.
I know. So, Ryan, what do you think? What do you think about that? I know the quality wasn't great; it came from my phone. But what do you think about Coach? Down there talking about you guys. It seemed like you guys are. I know coaches have to make the nice, conversations and hey, they're a great team and all that stuff. But it seems like you guys are, opening up some eyeballs a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely our goal. Just to just earn respect, not only throughout the FCS, but just show that we're able to compete with some bigger schools. And it seems as though that we have left that sort of impression. So pretty much just going into the game, it seems like they're preparing just how we are. Mm-hmm. They're not going into the game thinking that everything is going to be like a cakewalk. So I think we're both going to be out there competing, and the better team that day will pretty much come out with the victory.
Exactly. Adam, you have a question?
Yeah. Now, Ryan, you play your college football in the Northeast Conference, and there have been some new additions to the conference last couple of years. You had Merrimack, and this year you have Stonehill College coming in from, I believe it's Division II. So tell us what it's like to play, some of these new teams that are coming in to the Northeast Conference.
Well, I haven't really had the opportunity to play. Merrimack and Stonehill just got added on, but just having these new teams come in, we pretty much have to prepare just like any other team. We can't just think because the school's coming up from D2 that they're not going to be able to compete on the same level as us. We're in the same conference for a reason. So I just believe that going into every game, and especially these new schools that we haven't been competing with in the past, we're going to have to pretty much be on our best to make sure we are performing at a high level against these schools.
That's true. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Enjoy. I know you guys are in camp. Be careful, be safe, drink a lot of water because I know the heat's not the greatest thing for kids in the camp. I know that. I don't play football, but I know outside doing my other job, I'm like, whoa, this is hot out today. But I know it must be a little hotter with the pads on. But be safe, and we'll be rooting for you on August 27th at 5 o'clock when Duquesne rolls into Tallahassee to take on the Noles, and it's on the ACC network. So anybody wants to tune in to watch it.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on here. Have a good one.
All right, Ryan. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks, Ryan.
That's it. That's Ryan Webb.
Duquesne.
Yeah, Duquesne. It's kind of.
I say go Duquesne, beat the Noles.
I know it's kind of hard for me. It's so hard if I'm a Florida State fan, and Adam's a Seminole fan from day one. We have to be reporters. We have to be a little more. We can't take sides, but we know when we get off the air.
Yeah,
we'll be talking about
we gotta be biased.
Exactly. So that game is going to be. Let me bring that up for you, folks. If you guys want to watch it, it's August 27th, Saturday, August 27th at 5 o'clock on the ACC network.
Day after my birthday.
Yeah. So, the day after somebody's birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Mr. Steve might have something going on for his birthday. That's a Friday night. Birthday weekends are great.
If I had planned it right, it may go very well.
Oh, nice, Steve. There you go.
If I play the cards right, it may go quite well.
So.
Nice. Yeah. All right, Steve.
If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, we know. This is a family programming. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yes, we'll talk about it off the air. we got folks, thanks for joining us at the top of the hour. Coming up at 8 o'clock, in 8:05, and in 2 minutes we'll have Mike James, the president of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame and the president of the Jim Thorpe Award, The preseason list came out last week, or this week, or last week. It was good to keep an eye on who's on there. There is a Florida State Seminole guy on there, so we have an interview. I had a chance to talk to him during the ACC Media Day, so that might help out. So he'll be joining us, and then around 8:20, we're going to go out west to Wyoming. Ryan Thorburn, who covers the Wyoming Cowboys, not the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to.
I know, but it's funny. They call themselves the Cowboys. They don't even look like the Cowboys. Their uniforms are they look like the Denver Broncos of the 60s. It's like, ew, what are you doing, man? So anyway, let's bring in Mike. I know Mike is, down there in beautiful Oklahoma City and probably sweltering at 115 degrees probably. And he's probably indoors and he's tired of the heat. So Mike, how you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. And beautiful Oklahoma City right now. It's to your point, it's sweltering. I wouldn't say how beautiful it is. My gosh, it's hot.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok video a couple weeks ago. My girlfriend gave me people in Texas went to get ice out of the ice machine, and all of a sudden it just melted in 5 minutes. And I'm
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. We're doing all right here. Yeah. Our usual suspects, George, is on assignment tonight because he had something to do, and that's Adam, who joined us this year, and Steve's been here since day one. It's
always good to see you guys. I enjoy our time.
Yeah, and our good friend Ewan, he's on medical leave. He got in a serious car accident, but he's okay.
Oh my!
Yeah, he's down in Tampa. He's rehabbing, so we hopefully he's doing fine. He's just
good.
He's taking a lot of hard, getting himself back to normal. That's why you don't see him on the video right now.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So I know he wants to go to Oklahoma City one day. He eats that good food out there. I know he talks about that all the time.
Well, hey, the door's always open for you guys. You know that.
Yeah, we tried to get out there last year. We'll just with the plane tickets and everything else was so expensive, and plus the time difference and all that stuff. But we'll get there sooner.
Yeah,
when we can. Yeah.
Go out there and chase tornadoes.
Oh, he wants to do tornado chasing, but anyway.
Bless you.
So, let's talk about the preseason watch list came out. I did some research, and I did talk to a Florida State guy who was on your list.
Mr. Robinson
during the ACC kickoff, and I do have a little clip I want to play for you. I did ask him about the spring game because I feel like the spring game was so fun for them because they brought back some of the alumni and it was a good turnout for the game on the ACC network, and he enjoyed talking, and I liked his clothes. It looked like whoo, look at this sucker. Let's play it real quick.
Sure.
Right, second row.
Hey Jamie, Chris Heidel from Herbert Radio in Baltimore. How fun was that spring game this year? Because it seemed like you had a great time with all the alumni coming back and all that. I guess that was one of those exciting springs for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cause like you said earlier, our whole group came back, pretty much our whole team, and just during the spring, 90% of our team was already here. So we hit the ground rolling pretty fast and ahead of most teams and stuff as far as just the guys coming in early and stuff like that. So it was a place for us all just to get that brotherhood, create that brotherhood, and we live by climb, commitment, little things. Intensity, mental toughness, and brotherhood. So you feel me? We all just try to go throughout every day and get better every day, 1% better.
All right, so Mike, that's people don't realize with the Jim Thorpe Award, you try to find people who are your defensive backs. They play hard in football, but they're leaders off the field. And I feel like that kid could be one of those leaders that undiscovered leader. He's very quiet. He seems like he really doesn't talk about himself all the time.
Well, and to your point, Chris, I'm glad you brought that up because you and I we speak about this every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thorpe Award is not just for the best defensive back as far as play on the field, but really it's 51. We look at it this way: it's 51% character and 49% play on the field. And we sent our preseason watch list out. We had 35 young men on there. And we've already heard from a couple of sports writers and schools, how come this person or that person's not on the list? And, golly, we hate to say, keep in mind character, but you have to do that. And to your point, Mr. Robinson, he's a stand-up young man. You know, he not only is he considered one of the best defensive backs in Division I football on the field, but he's considered a quality young man off the field, and that's what we look at, as you know.
Yeah, and I feel like he's one of those players that he's not selfish. Hopefully, he's not selfish because he's more than a team-oriented. Like you heard during the spring game, they all came back. They were all they got the brotherhood ready to go for the season,
Right.
and you don't hear that during most of the season. A lot of teams have this one player. Oh, I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to leave early, and then you have people who basically are they just pan out. They just fizzle out like in the last couple of games at the end of the year, and you're like, what happened to you, dude?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Chris, because if you can go back, and I don't say this in a braggadocious manner by any means, you can go back and look at previous Thorpe Award winners, and you look at their final year in football, in college football, and you can see where they have been mentors on the field and off the field. Although they know the next level's coming. You know what I mean? I mean, they know that opportunity is going to present itself. So they have been very unselfish and have been that mentor on and off the field to younger players. And, you see that. I mean, we saw it with Trayvon Merrick. We saw it with Kobe Bryant. We saw it with Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, the list goes on. And to your point, I look at Mr. Robinson. I think that's what separates a lot of those young men from some of the other folks out there. And again, not saying that the other folks aren't quality guys and quality DBs. All I'm saying is, my hope is that at some point down the line, if we went and spoke with one of them, they could say, yeah, this person mentored me. But who are they? Who are they paying it forward to, or who are they returning that to? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's what we need to see.
I agree. And I was just looking at I was looking at the list, over the years. Some guy named Deion Sanders, wanted in 1988.
Yeah, who is that guy?
Who's that guy?
And Terrell Buckley.
Yeah, Buckley wanted in 91.
Who's now coaching Is it XFL?
Yeah, XFL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Charles Woodson.
Charles Woodson. You don't see, and no knock on Miami, the Hurricanes. There's nobody
Come on
there.
now. Hey.
No, there is one. I forgot. There is one. Yeah, there is Bernie Blaze. He was a good Miami.
Hey, be careful. Look, that's my phone.
You and my brother will probably be best of friends.
I'm from Miami, so be careful here.
Yeah, I know.
Uh-oh.
Hey, I love the rivalry. It's great. It's one of those.
I hope Chris, look, I really hope it comes back to the way it was in the 80s and 90s.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. The 80s, forget it. Hey, you know what? I'm out here in Oklahoma, and we have Bedlam, Oklahoma State. We have OU, Texas.
Yeah.
But my gosh, there was nothing like Miami, Florida State back in the day.
Oh my God! And Adam and Steve don't realize that those two teams, Miami and Florida State, winner went to the Sun Bowl, winner went to the Orange Bowl or whatever national championship game. The other one goes to the CarQuest Bowl, or some other bowl.
The Pool on Weed Eater Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah, the Independence Bowl. You're like, oh.
But the funny thing is you should see these with Chris and his two brothers in college football season, because Chris being a Seminoles fan and Will being a Hurricane fan, and his younger brother Matt being a Gator fan. Oh my God, it's like World War III if any of those two teams are playing.
Yeah, Mike, you may have to call my mother and probably give her some, tell her it's okay.
I would just want to know how did that happen?
I don't know. When I was
Did you guys draw straws or something?
I don't know. My brother Will. Real quick story here. My brother Will just loved the orange and the St. Patty's colors that you guys have. And I'm like, why do you like that? He goes, because he likes to drink. I'm like, okay, that's a good idea.
Rock on.
That's not bad. And then for me, when I was a kid, I was watching the Blockbuster Bowl. And it was on before ESPN took over every, bowl game. It was on these little networks. And it was on, we had a rabbit ears downstairs in the basement. It was the Blockbuster Bowl between Penn State and Florida State. And I was a Joe Montana fan. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I was a Montana fan. I just liked Joe Montana when I was a kid, because when I was a kid watching 86 playoffs, he got pulverized by Lawrence Taylor. And I was like, oh, God. And I started crying. And my mom goes, why are you crying? I'm like, the guy, he's carted off the field,
Right. Right.
Yeah. So the quarterback of Florida State was Casey Weldon, and he looked like Montana under the helmet. Yeah, and I was like, okay. I was like, I guess I'll be. I said, I'd love. And my mother told me the story the other day. All of a sudden, your room just changed from nothing to Florida State colors. Yeah, just in a heartbeat. It was like, you changed everything over. Yeah, it was like, I'm like, wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Have you ever met Casey Weldon to tell him that, you know what, to me, you are the second coming of Joe Montana?
Well, I did talk to Warwick Dunn one time, and I had Warwick Dunn. I have old Warwick Dunn jersey because that was my first Florida State jersey, and I wear it, for game day, And he told me, he goes, "How old are you?" I'm like, at the time I was like 38 years old. I'm like, I'm 38, but I still wear the jersey to go to sleep because he's like, good stuff. Yeah, like, and people don't realize we got people who follow these teams have like superstitions, and you probably have a superstition too, Mike. You probably do something before Miami games. You probably do something. We don't know. What do you do?
I do. Yeah, and before Dolphin games. After today's news, I don't know. I need to rethink the whole thing.
Yeah, I heard about that one, like tampering. I'm like,
oh my God.
How did you get in trouble for that? Dude, Tom Brady wasn't going anywhere.
We could mess up a junkyard, I think.
Don Shula's right now rolling in his grave going,
yeah. And you know what? And I see these shirts every now and then, and I have to agree, to me, it will always be Joe Robbie Stadium.
I know.
Yes, Mike. Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
My girlfriend and I went through the whole list of different names of that stadium. It was Joe Robbie, then it was Pro Players Stadium.
Yep.
And then Pro Players Park, and then it was Sun Life Stadium, and then it was Land Shark, then it was somebody's backyard stadium. It was like all these different names after a while, and now it's Hard Rock. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Well, I think Hard Rock's here to stay, but I just, golly. You know what? It's just a bummer that the Dolphins haven't done anything in, golly, 30 since Marino left.
Right.
Really, if you think about it.
Yep. That's right, Mike.
Exactly.
Anyway,
let's go back to the list.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. We'll talk Miami. We'll have you on for Miami versus Florida State later.
Oh gosh, that has got to happen.
Yeah, we'll get you on for that one. We'll have because last year, I did a little show with Florida State and Miami and talk about the rivalry. And I brought some people on. I had a Miami guy, I had a Florida State. I had Dave Vermont on from ESPN because Dave Vermont, went to Miami.
Right.
So he knew all about the history of Miami, and he did some Miami games. He's a cool guy. I love talking to him. He's funny. And then I had some of the Seminole guys on, and people actually enjoyed it. They're like, "Wow, you guys took some time to." I was like, I think it's great to talk about the rivalry. It's
absolutely.
And hopefully one day we'll get back to where it was when. I thought when before we talked more about the list, I thought when Miami went to the ACC, it was going to be Florida State, Miami, ACC title game every year.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened yet.
Well, I really think the ACC thought that too.
Yeah,
when Miami left the Big East and jumped in there, I thought again, my opinion, I believe the ACC thought, okay, here we go. It's like, all right, we've got this bedlam. We have this Ohio State, Michigan, this OU, Texas, this OU, Oklahoma State. We have it, and it's never materialized.
No, it hasn't.
Sure.
So, anyway, so we got some. I found some videos. Yeah, Jordan Battle was one of the guys on your list. A guy from Alabama. So he's a senior. So just talk about his. He seems like one of those. You don't really hear much about him because he's just quiet.
Well, part of the Chris, when you think about it, especially a team like Alabama, I hate to use this term because I think it gets worn out, but they reload, right? You would agree with that? They reload. Yeah. And so now this year, you'll probably hear from Jordan Battle, verbally. Yeah. He's, last year he had a tremendous year last year as well. This year, he's the guy, if you will, Rick's, is he's a great solid player. I believe Battle's the guy right now for Alabama. So we'll probably hear more out of him, not just on the field but off the field. He'll be that vocal leader and hopefully that mentor that we've seen from Minka Fitzpatrick and some other guys out there.
Right. Exactly. And the other list, you got a guy from Penn State who I'm going to get a chance to see maybe 4 times this year.
Whose dad happened to play for the Dolphins, by the way. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Joey Porter?
Yeah, Joey Porter. Yeah, I didn't realize his son's up there. I was like, that's cool. Yeah, like, that's pretty cool having Joey Porter's son in Penn State. But, you got the other guy, his counterpart. I just found out today I could go see them take on Ohio State this year. So that's going to be a good game. But
is that in Happy Valley?
Yeah, it's Happy Valley. So
great.
So I got approved for that today. But just talking about that kid from Penn State, because Penn State is, I feel like their secondary is really good. They once last year they were 6-0 until they went to Iowa and they lost Clifford because Clifford got knocked out. If they didn't have Clifford, if Clifford wasn't knocked out, I think they probably would have been in the top 5.
I see that. If you look at our preseason list, Chris, we have someone from all 11 conferences represented. Now, that was not by design. The thing is if you look at all those names, every one of those young men are extremely deserving to be on that list. They have played their way on that list. And when you look at Penn State and you look at the guys from Penn State, some people say, well, how can you have 2 guys from the same team? It's not uncommon, especially on a preseason list, for a number of preseason awards. It's just not uncommon. And especially the way that we set up our award or our list, it's not uncommon. The thing is, though, is in my experience over the last 20 plus years with the Thorpe Association, you'll see some of these guys play their way or higher onto the list, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what we're keeping our eye on. Both the guys from Penn State certainly deserve to be on this preseason list. I certainly am excited to see as the year progresses, kind of who separates at every school, who separates themselves from everybody else without losing that leadership and mentorship role. Without becoming unselfish, like you were saying earlier, Chris, looking to see who separates themselves without becoming selfish. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. I agree.
That's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
First of all, Mike, I actually work with someone who's a huge Miami Hurricanes fan and Miami Dolphins fan. So I understand what you're going through. So I want to talk about the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame because I have a nominee for you. You probably heard of her. Her name is Jocelyn Allo, one of the greatest softball players ever at the University of Oklahoma. After everything she did in Norman, you think she'll ever get into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame after her career?
Well, she's certainly deserving. Just to touch real quickly on that, our criteria to be nominated for the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame is you have to be at least 50 years old or 5 years out of your sport. And the reason we put that on there is if you're, some coaches never retire. So this way, if you're over 50 and you're still coaching, you can be nominated. But a player, for an example, a player is, they hang up their cleats and then after 5 years, they can be considered. So she will there's no doubt in my mind. I'm pretty darn sure she's going to be considered and recommended for nomination.
By Coach Patty Gasso as well.
Yeah. No, she's incredible.
Yeah. Well, Mike, another question for you. You went out to Dodger Stadium the other day, last week, because you guys do another award people don't realize. Besides the Jim Thorpe Award, you do another one, the Warren Spahn Award. So that's pretty cool for baseball. So explain to folks what the Warren Spahn Award is, because to me, I'm still trying to get a Cy Young Award, and I'm not an ace like DeGrom or anything like that,
Well, Warren Spahn is from Oklahoma, and he is the winningest left-handed pitcher of all time, period. And years ago, we wanted to honor Warren Spahn not just as an Oklahoman, but as the best lefty to come out of the bigs. So we created the Warren Spahn Award. It goes to Major League Baseball's best lefty. Winners over the years have been Randy Johnson and Clayton Kershaw and David Snell. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Andy Pettit. But when COVID hit shortly after the 2019 season, we were unable to have banquets. And so we had the hardware for Julio Urias and Hyun-Jun Ryu out of Toronto Blue Jays, the last 2 winters, 20 and 21, still sitting in our museum. So what we thought is, we normally would have a banquet in Oklahoma City, and these fellows would come in, we would present them with their awards and so on. But we knew that wasn't possible. And to catch up, we wanted to go out to the ballparks and present them with their awards. Well, unfortunately in Toronto, the regulations to get in and out of the countries, both countries, United States and Canada, were pretty tough. We couldn't make that happen. And then it's my understanding he went out with Tommy John surgery just a short while ago, and he's out for the rest of the season. But we worked with the LA Dodgers, and they were very, very receptive to that. So we flew out there and presented Mr. Urias with his Warren Spahn Award on July 26th when the Dodgers had a homestand with the Nationals. And it was wonderful. I'll tell you what, the LA Dodgers just rolled out the red carpet. They were wonderful. And we were able to present Julio with his Warren Spahn Award.
Yeah. I can say I've actually gone to Oklahoma. I went to a PBA tour event, professional bowling in 2017 to Shawnee to the Fire Lake Bowling Center, and then the finals were at the Grand Hotel and Casino. When I went from the mountains here in North Carolina to Oklahoma, I was like, oh boy, I had to get used to flatland.
There's the largest mountain we have out here is probably a bridge.
Yeah,
nice.
True.
But that Warren, the Warren Spahn Award, we're hoping that come this year, we'll be able to get back on track again. But I will say, Chris, that having gone out to LA and presented the award in person, it was pretty darn special. And if that's the road we go down in the future, I'm all for it, because it was a special event, not just for us, but for the winner, in front of 56,000. Dig this, 56,000 plus in attendance at a Dodgers game on a Tuesday night.
Wow.
That's amazing.
You don't get that here in Camden Yards in Baltimore. Nope.
Wow.
Lucky if you get a third of that.
You get a third of that.
That was a special night. Tk you for bringing that up, Chris.
Oh, you're welcome. I saw that I get the newsletter, and I was like, well, let me just talk about that, because that seemed like it was pretty cool. I was sitting there, reading it, one day when I was waiting for my girlfriend to get done with physical therapy. So I was sitting there just reading it. I'm like, this is cool.
It was a good time.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Appreciate it. We'll keep in touch, and we'll have you on periodically during the year. If there's any cool people that you want us to come on to talk about, we'll try to grab them and see what you think and all that stuff. So we'll keep in touch.
Thanks. Thank you. And Chris, I value your input. So throughout the course of this season, if you wouldn't mind, keep me posted. I know that you do a lot of interviews with players, and what we look for, especially on the character side of things. And I value your input. So please drop me emails. You know what I mean? Pick up the phone. But again, thanks for being a great partner of ours of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame and the Thorpe Award. I appreciate you a bunch.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on, because I know every year when we have this preseason watch, I'm like, got to get Mike on. Yeah, got to get it out there, So
I always want to be available for you, and I mean that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And if I get anything for you, I'll send it out to you, and we'll see what we could do.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks, fellas, very much.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See ya.
Take care.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mike James, very nice guy. We've been having him on for years here on the program for years, since Ewan and I have been doing this. So it's like an old hat. Let's bring in Ryan Thorburn, who covers the the Wyoming Cowboys. I was going to call them the Oklahoma Cowboys. It's a minor league team, right there, Ryan? That's a minor league system for the Dodgers. I'm just giving you the Dodgers minor league assistant. So how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. How's the weather out there in Wyoming?
It's nice. It rained pretty hard this afternoon, so it's only like 70 degrees right now. It's pretty sweet.
That's cool. So you guys are heading to Illinois for the first game of the year. That week 0 thing. Everybody has week 0 now or whatever. So you guys never played Illinois before, so this is going to be a very interesting game for you guys.
Yeah, Wyoming's already a week into camp because of the week 0 start, and heading into a Big Ten game, I think kind of gets the juices flowing even more than normal. And this team has a lot to prove. Obviously, last year was a major disappointment, finishing 7-6 overall, but just 2-6 in the Mountain West. So, there's some marquee Mountain West games. I know Fresno State, the league favorite, plays at USC. Boise State has a big opener at Oregon State. There's some Power 5 games out there, but for Wyoming, maybe this is more realistic and more winnable than some of the other ones around the conference, given that Illinois is rebuilding, and I know that both teams play a similar style where it's run, and then occasionally try to pass.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your running back, Titus Swan. He's from Fort Worth, Texas, so he's your big back in the backfield. So, what do you see from him during the last year, and you probably saw a little bit during practice this year?
Yeah, Titus Swin, he
coming off a career high.
All right,
as
go ahead.
The backup to Xavion Valladay, who is now at Arizona State. So it's his time to take over. Some fans were disappointed that Valladay transferred to Arizona State, but he was, he's a super senior now. He had already graduated from Wyoming. Without COVID, he would have been long gone anyway. So, Swin kind of patiently waited through COVID and backed Xavion Valladay up, and it's his time, and he's really poised for, a huge year. Wyoming is a run first team, a run second team. If third down is not a long distance, they're a run on third down team. So I would expect Swin to be in the mix for, all Mountain West running back, and, their offensive line, at least the 5 starters, are one of the strengths of the team. They don't really have any depth at tackle, but other than that, it's going to be ground and pound. And then, they have a transfer quarterback in, Andrew Peasley from Utah State, who, jokes that he was the first, part of the first trade in college football history, because Wyoming starter last year, Levi Williams, transferred to Utah State, and then, Peasley signed with Wyoming. So when Utah State visits Laramie, that'll be kind of an interesting storyline.
Yeah. Adam, you got a question?
Yeah.
For
Now, Ryan, a lot of people may not know, but you guys have a rivalry, with another Mountain West team, Colorado State, and you guys. So talk to us about the rivalry between Colorado State and Wyoming.
Yeah, it's called the Border War. I actually wrote a book about it called The Border War. I know there's other rivalries called the Border War, but that's what it's called. And, they've been playing since 1899. They've been in the same conference since, before World War II. They play for a bronze boot, which was a Vietnam veteran from CSU's boot that he wore in combat. They bronzed it in the the 60s, and they play for that every year. So it's kind of a cool trophy game. And the two schools are separated by about 60 miles, on Highway 287, and they really don't like each other. Craig Bull, Wyoming's coach, was interesting at the Mountain West Media Days a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas. It was kind of interesting because he's friends with Colorado State's new coach, Jay Norvell. He coached Jay's brother when he was an assistant at Wisconsin many moons ago, and he had a lot of respect for Jay's father, who was a great athletic director in the Big Ten. So they're friends, and now they're rivals. And Craig Bowles, joked that he refuses to get gasoline in Fort Collins, but he'd be willing to meet Jay for a beer somewhere in between Laramie and Fort Collins. But it's kind of a fun rivalry with a lot of great history. There was a game in the 1970s where Colorado State's coach had them come down through the stands before the game, and Wyoming's players were all waiting for the coin toss, and CSU's fans came down from the stands together onto the field, and there was a fist fight that ensued between the two teams before the game that was quite legendary. Some Wyoming fans have stole their mascot, their live mascot, before the sheep, and that's gone back and forth. And it has great tradition, and it goes back and forth. When Sonny Lubick was at Colorado State, they dominated, and Craig Bohl, he hasn't won a Mountain West championship yet, and that's on his bucket list, but he has won 5 out of the last 6 Border Wars, and the only loss was in 2020 when there were no fans. Mm-hmm. So Colorado State's one win in the last 6 years. They didn't even get to celebrate it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So, your coach actually was with North Dakota State. So he actually he was part of that whole good vibe that the Bison is. So he brought did he bring any of his offense from the Bison to Oklahoma? To Wyoming? So you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is the same thing we saw in North Dakota State a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same offense he had there, except, obviously North Dakota State's talent level is up here, and most of the FCS is way down here. And in the Mountain West, that's just not the case for Wyoming. Now, they've developed talent really well. I mean, obviously Josh Allen is a freak, and no one wanted him until Wyoming finally reluctantly gave him a shot, and we all know how that turned out. But they had, 16 guys in the NFL at the end of the season last year, which was the most in the Mountain West. It's just they haven't got over that hump. Josh Allen's 16 team played for the Mountain West Championship, lost a really tight game to a San Diego State team that was pretty loaded. 17, he got hurt, missed a couple games that they lost, and probably would have won with him in there. And they've really been struggling to find, the balance with the passing since he left. And they're hoping Peasley can do that. But yeah, he, if you know anything about Craig Bohl, he was, a Nebraska player and longtime assistant for Tom Osborne. And then, things went a little bit sour there in the early 2000s, and they got rid of him. He was the defensive coordinator, and he ends up building a powerhouse in Fargo. North Dakota State was transitioning from Division II to FCS when he got there, and they in his 9th year there, they won their first FCS championship, and they won 3 in a row before he left for Wyoming to try something else. And he pointed out at the media day that this is year 9 at Wyoming, and we won our first championship at North Dakota State in year 9. And we kind of said, "What are you saying, Craig?" And he's like, "I'm not saying anything. I'm just pointing out a fact there."
Hey, he's trying to get some bulletin board, some stuff to put on the people's fridge so they can be like, "Oh, okay, this is what he's talking about," So, but well, it sounds like it's going to be a great game, and hopefully Illinois, you're going to take on Illinois, and Brent Beamer is now the head coach there in Illinois, so that's going to be a very interesting, kid who a coach that came back to Illinois to take over that school that basically has been still trying to figure out what they're doing since the mid '90s.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Bielema is similar. It's all about the offensive line and smash mouth. And I know he has a new offensive coordinator that, has a passing background. But, I'm expecting or maybe hoping that it's going to be, one of those 2 hours and 30-minute games with all the running and defense. But, it'll be a fun trip. I'm going, obviously flying into Chicago on Friday and doing some fun stuff in Chicago on Friday night, and then driving over to Champaign. So really looking forward to it.
That's cool. Well, Ryan, enjoy the rest of your week, and stay cool, and I know all the heat out there is coming this way now, so it's here in Maryland, but hey, it's the summertime. That's what it is, football weather, and enjoy the rest of your week.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Ryan. Thank you so much. All right, so that's Ryan Thorburn, who writes for the Wyoming football, out there in Casper for the Casper Star-Tribune. So another Tribune out there. We're honored to have this next guest to come on our program, former Florida State running back who won a Super Bowl back in 1995 with the San Francisco 49ers. Spent a cup of coffee with the Jets at the end of his career, but he's known more as a Florida State running back and a San Francisco 49er. Let's bring in Dexter Carter. So, hey, Dexter, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me.
No problem.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hey, and by the way, you're right. I had a cup of coffee in New York. I really liked it in New York. Didn't like the Jets too much, but hey, no, the Jets was cool. It was Rich Kotite, the head coach, but nonetheless, you know, and you know, when you're an undersized guy and it's 28 plus years after your last year, and you see, you know, how life goes on, especially for your kids, all the legacy things, I got to make sure they're pointed out, because see, when I leave, other than financial, the only thing I could leave my kids is my legacy. So to me, everything counts. At 170 pounds, yeah, I won a Super Bowl with the 49ers. I started and ended my career with the 49ers, but I was also a first-round draft pick. And see, and when you're in Florida State's storied history with all the great running backs we've had, I'm one of only 3 running backs to go in the first round. Me, Warwick Dunn, and Sammy Smith. Freeman, Cook, those guys didn't go in the first round. So that's something that I got to, you know, I got to say, hey, the hard work paid off.
Exactly. I do have to ask you a question. I'm a big, Adam and I are big Florida State fans. You know, I've been a big Seminole fan since I was 9 years old. The CarQuest Bowl, you know, not Clark, it was the Blockbuster Bowl when you guys played against Penn State down there in Miami, and it was Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno. But just talk about, you know, the rivalry between Florida State and Miami. You know, people don't realize that was used to be a, you know, smack in the face, you know, fights, you know, hitting. People didn't like each other. You know, I think you guys we had a rap video that, you know, nobody liked the rap video for some reason, but
I hate to admit, you know, I was in the rap video. I didn't have any lead raps in there, but I was a backup. But you know, I don't think that was really a good idea, because that was the year after Miami had won the national championship, and that next year they had everybody coming back, but everybody had us preseason number 1. So that in itself had pissed Miami off. And then Jimmy Johnson, with his psychological master's degree, he knows what to do, what to say to motivate his players. He didn't really need it, but he told them, the Hurricanes, some of my friends told me, said he gathered up the leaders together, the captains, and he said, hey, I want to show y'all something, because nobody knew about the video. And he showed them the video, and boy, it really motivated them, because we were supposed to play them the 5th game of the season. And by then, we usually would have worked our kinks out. But CBS moved it up to the very first game of the season. And boy, Miami tore us up 31-0. And, you know, they were motivated. And we probably had a little bit, you know, of, hey, we're number 1, that thing. But I tell you what, after that game, hey, we all got it together and didn't lose a game after that. Dion was a senior that year. I was a junior, and Leroy Butler, Hall of Fame this year, he was there, and we went on and won the rest of the games, finished the country 2 or 3. Okay. You know, and that was before the wide rights and wide lefts. See, a lot of people just remember the 90s Miami, Florida State, wide rights, wide lefts. But no, I was part of the 87, 88, and 89 teams that started that 14-year dynasty where we never dropped lower than 3rd in the country, you know, for 14 straight years. So I'm proud to be, you know, to say I was a part of those 14, the first 3 years of the 14-year dynasty.
Yeah. When I see those videos of wide left, right, I just cringe. I'm like, why are you playing them all over the time? And I have a brother who's a Miami Hurricane fan, and I hear it all the time. He walks around with a T-shirt, wide left.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, he has all these T-shirts of Miami, like all these like choke FSU, you know. And I'm looking at him like, are you kidding me? You know, I was like, right. And I go to his house sometimes for dinner, you know, for the Florida State Miami game, and I'm just sitting there peacefully, and he gets all fired up and wound up, and I'm sitting there and Steve's been there watching. Yeah, and he's like, you guys are you're just sitting there quietly, because I learned over the time if I open my mouth, I might get pushed or something, because he gets all fired up. Yeah. And
I go over there during those games. I always try to take a striped shirt with me, because I never know if there's going to be a wrestling match break out in the living room.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh. We have another hiccup right here.
To that rivalry, I mean, because it was a special rivalry, and Siri's asked me if I want to answer my brother's call. No, I do not, Siri. No.
Serious, I hate that. I hate that. What is that thing on? We have EXA. Yeah. That thing comes out of nowhere. So I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Yeah.
You know, but the last thing on the Miami game, unless you guys have some more questions, is I'm very proud of that rivalry because I think out of all of the great players that have come through, I do think that I probably, because people call me the Miami killer because I had probably some of the best games against Miami during my career. My freshman year is when I had a 105-yard kickoff return. It was a throwback trick play that we had. So that will always be part of the record and the history on kickoff return. And then the year we're watching right there, my senior year, man, I started the game off after Leroy Butler intercepted Gino Toretto's first pass and took it back 37 yards for 6. And that year, I was the only guy in the country to have over 100 yards against Miami. I had 142, and you know, it was just awesome, my man. Those Miami Hurricane games, man, that I had against them, it was awesome.
Yeah. Before we send him to Adam real quick, Adam, what do you think about this year's Florida State team? Can they get back to where they were, before Jimbo?
Oh boy, I think Dexter would agree with me. We need some Bobby Bowden magic to come through. What did you say, Dexter?
You know what? I think you put that very well. You put it perfect. And I just came back from Florida State this weekend because my 15-year-old going to the 9th grade, he was invited to the Seminoles showcase where they invite, some of their top recruits, and he ended up getting offered. So Novell offered him as an athlete because he plays receiver and safety, and he's also been offered by South Carolina, Nebraska, and Arkansas.
Okay.
So so going into the 9th grade, that ain't too bad.
Not bad at all. That's cool. That's awesome. Congratulations, Dad. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, and I had this conversation with a few people this weekend, who pretty much was thinking the same question: where are we going to be this year, whatever. I'm gonna tell you, I think, Coach Norvell, I think this has got to be his year because, I wasn't a big fan of what was the last coach?
Willie Taggart.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Willie Taggart fan. For one, Willie was a fan of the Seminoles, so the way he was a fan of certain players, like I don't remember one time when his during his tenure that I could actually literally walk through that door. He had his picks: Dion, Charlie Ward, Peter Warwick, Derek Brooks, those guys. But I'm like, at least Jimbo, when Jimbo was here, Jimbo, the door was open, But I do think if you're going to give Taggart 2 years, then you got to be fair with all the other coaches,
right?
As far as giving them, in my opinion, the same amount of time, because I think any new coach that comes in, whether I like them or not, it's hard to create a winner until your freshman class that you recruit become juniors.
Mm-hmm.
That way they've had 3 years to get into your system. You've gotten your guys in, and by then you should start winning. So I think Coach Norvell, I think this has got to be his year. I really do. I think what's going to be key to him is something that I saw when he was at Memphis State, because when I saw him at Memphis State, the way he built that team and that offensive game plan he had, oh my goodness, he had those running backs that could really be slot guys that could catch the ball in the backfield, that can run between the tackles or get on the outside and run.
Right.
And this year, since Dillingham left, he's going to be calling plays. So now there's no excuse. His plays are going to be called. It's going to be his results. So I'm really hoping that he can turn it around, and we've got to win the ACC. Yeah. I mean, I don't care what Clemson has. I don't care what NC State has. Coach Norvell has got to win the ACC. And I'm hoping he gets it done, because if he doesn't, I don't know. I'm not the athletic director, but I do think that it's time for him to win.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I was down there for the ACC kickoff for the media stuff, and I told him I really feel like all these coaches are talking to you like for their votes, and I feel like Mike actually sold it to me this year. I'm like, okay, last year this is the pandemic. After the pandemic, now let's get going, let's get rolling. Let's get stuff going and knock off Miami, knock off Florida, and take out Clemson. I'm sorry, but Clemson should not be the dominant team because we owned the ACC for so many years when I was a kid.
That's right.
Yeah, this is our league, not Clemson's league. Our league.
That's right. And we ran it for a lot longer than they had their powerhouse moment. So I agree with you. We've got to get it done.
Exactly. Well, Dexter, so much. I appreciate you coming on tonight. We'd love to get you back on, later in the year, and we'll talk more about the rivalry game and and your time against Florida and Miami. So we'd love to have you on. And congratulations on your son, getting that offer in ninth grade. When I was in ninth grade, I didn't get anybody to pick up the phone to talk to me.
I know. Yeah, it's been a nice journey, man. It's been a nice journey. He's done all the things that he should have done, and he's physically talented. So he's fallen in the footsteps of his brother because his dad didn't have all those offers. But Dexter Jr. didn't have all those offers until not his freshman year, but he did have Power 5 offers, and he's in the transfer portal right now. So we'll see where he's going to do his last year here in the next week or two. But there was something else I wanted to ask you. You said you guys are in Maryland?
Yeah, I'm in Maryland. He's in North Carolina. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Evans, Georgia, which is a suburb of Augusta.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm about 20 minutes from the Masters. But this year, going into ninth grade, I have a son and he's 14. He's going to finish eighth grade here in Evans. But my ninth grader, I made a executive decision, and I moved him up to Cedar Grove up in Atlanta.
Okay.
Where they won the last 4 out of 5 3A state championships, and they've got the number 1 corner in Georgia, whom my son goes against every day. So he's sharpening my son.
Nice.
Yesterday I went to their first padded scrimmage. First play, the sophomore quarterback, who's going to be off the chain, he threw one up to Devin on the cornerback that is committed to Ohio State, and he made the catch. It was awesome.
Nice.
But we're going to be up. We're playing St. John's.
Okay.
Who's the up in DC? Who's the number 18 team in the country by Max Prep? So that's October 1st, I believe.
Okay.
If you're able, man, you ought to hit me up and come check that game out.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'll send some of my friends with me, and we'll come down and take a look at it.
That would be awesome. I'd love to have you there.
All right, cool. Well, we'll keep it. I got your phone number. I'll keep in touch with you, and I appreciate you coming on.
All right, thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and look forward to being with you again.
All right, Dexter. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, guys.
See you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, Dexter Carter, former Florida State Seminole and former 49er, running back, kickoff, and punt returner. So it's pretty cool to have him on the program.
Glad to see you kept your professional demeanor talking to a Seminole.
Oh, yeah.
Seminole.
Yeah, Nicole knows about, how I get, about me when it comes to net games and all that stuff. So anyway, and there we go. We got Adam bringing out the Seminole hat. So anyway, so we're talking Florida State football, but we have Vanderbilt Commodores who are looking for their first win in the SEC since the pre-pandemic. There's been a long time. So I think Chad's been waiting for an SEC win in a long, long time. So I was doing some homework, Chad, about that. You guys haven't won one since the pandemic. Like, what the heck is going on down there?
Well, hey, first of all, A great conversation there with Dexter Carter. A little 6 degrees of separation there. I'm actually, apologies for being in my car, but I'm up in Bowling Green, Kentucky right now, where Willie Taggart played college football.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
was coach of the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. And before he went on to Oregon and then FSU. So there's some separation there. And then hearing Dexter talk about Evans, Georgia. I spent some time in Statesboro, Georgia, which is a little bit south of Evans, Georgia, and Statesboro High School would play teams up in Evans. So crazy that he was talking about a lot of that stuff that I knew well. But yeah, Vanderbilt, man, been on a long SEC losing streak. They don't like to talk about that. It's free for me to talk about because I don't play any football.
Right.
But yeah, it's trust me. I mean, they don't like to talk about it. They don't like to hear about it. But I think they are really intent on trying to break that long losing streak in the SEC this year. It's going to be incredibly tough with the schedule that's laid out in front of them. But and I definitely think it's something that's kind of in the back of their mind. They got some SEC games circled. They want to break that long losing streak because going winless in 2020 and then, going winless in the SEC in 2021, I mean, for sure, it's been a long time since they've been able to walk off the field winners in a conference game.
Yeah, I was looking at your schedule. You open up against Hawaii, out in beautiful Hawaii. It's going to be probably a beautiful trip for you guys. And then you got to come home and take on a very tough Elon squad who does a very good job in the CAA. We cover here in Baltimore the CAA, and the coach does a great job down there in Elon. And then you got to take on Wake Forest, who was last year's Atlantic Division champs in the ACC. So, and then before that, you're going to take on Northern Illinois, who beat Georgia Tech last year, in the last minute down there in Georgia. So it's got to be like in those first four games, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah, there are no so-called off weeks or cupcakes for the Commodores. I mean, Hawaii has a first-year head coach. They're in a little bit of a rebuild. You still have to go all the way out to Hawaii and play those guys on their home turf. And then you got to, try to readjust to coming back home and play a solid FCS team in Elon. Northern Illinois picked to win their division in the MAC. Wake Forest, an incredibly good ACC team. And then when you get into conference, you play Georgia and Alabama, in the same year. I mean, those are the two, dominant powerhouses in college football, and you got to go play them twice. So, yeah, it's just that the schedule does them no favors this year. I've argued a lot with a lot of folks that this Vanderbilt team may be better. The results may not necessarily show because that schedule is so tough and they just don't have, that so-called off week to really get healthy and maybe get a blowout win. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of overcome that adversity, right? Because week in, week out is going to be so tough. I do think there's going to be a better product on the field. But again, that competition is at a very, very high level in 2022.
Yeah, let's talk about the quarterback, you guys. Mike Wright is a junior. He started a couple games last year. He's technically now the man under center. So what do you see for him getting his development during practice and, knowing that you guys are the people who watch the Commodores going to be, okay, this guy's going to be good and we're going to be okay. We're going to score points.
Yeah, a little backstory there. Last season, 2021, Ken Seals was the main starter and had a hand injury going to the South Carolina game. And so Mike Wright started that contest and sort of became the starter toward the end of 2021. And I think in that period, Vanderbilt's offense sort of found an identity with Mike Wright at quarterback because he can run a little bit. Let's not pigeonhole him and saying he's a running quarterback, but he can run it better than his predecessor, Ken Seals. And that gives that Vanderbilt offense a little bit more of a more dimensional look. Let's say I was talking to one of the Commodores last week about, they feel when Mike Wright is on the field, it's 11 on 11. And when a different quarterback is in there, it's maybe 11 on 10 because he can tuck that ball. He can run it and he can make plays with his feet. Now, what Mike has to do is take that next step as a quarterback in terms of being more accurate, throwing the ball a lot better, doing better in his progressions and his reads. He went to the Manning Passing Academy this spring and this summer to sort of work on his game and work with some high-level quarterbacks. So if he's able to take that next step and become a real accurate, real solid passer, that's going to make this Vanderbilt offense really, really good because defenses will have to respect that pass. And right now, I think defenses will be able to sort of lock on him as a runner until he's able to prove he can make the throw, play again.
Now, Chad, talk to us about the first game of the year. You guys got to travel all the way across the country to play Hawaii.
Yeah.
Now, I know what the college baseball team went over there to Honolulu for, I believe it was a 3-game set. So tell us what it's going to be like, to travel all the way across the country to play Hawaii in a different time zone. I know the game's going to probably start. There it is on the screen at 10:30 p.m. Eastern here on the East Coast. So what's it going to be like for Vanderbilt?
It's going to be an experience. It's really odd the way things have worked out. Vanderbilt basketball went there in December. Vanderbilt baseball went there in February, and Vanderbilt football is going there now in August. So it's sort of imagine it as a bowl game, right? The Commodores are leaving on August 21st, which I believe is a Sunday, to get out there, get adjusted to the time zone. They will practice, every day of the week out there at a local high school. They will do all the traditional cliche Hawaii stuff, right? Visit Pearl Harbor, go to a luau, sort of immerse themselves in the culture of Hawaii and the islands. And their hope is by the time Saturday rolls around and kickoff rolls around that their body clock will be used to that time zone and be ready to go. So it's a very odd situation, like it is for a lot of teams, having to get out there and play a game, but they're going to try to do the best they can. And because they're playing Hawaii week 0, that affords them 2 bye weeks in the regular season, which, they hope will sort of help them down the line. But yeah, it's going to be a long trip. It's going to be logistically challenging, for the program. But I think it's something they're looking forward to because, again, it's going to be like a bowl game atmosphere and a chance for them to really prove that year 2 is going to be different than year 1 under head coach Clark Lee.
Yeah, hopefully. I was just looking at the SEC schedule. Sorry, we had a little niche in the internet here, but just tough schedule. You got Ole Miss, who went to a bowl game. Georgia is the defending national champion. Missouri, who you guys beat a couple of years ago for your first win in the SEC in a very long time. South Carolina is pretty good, and then you got Florida, who's coming up with a new coach, and then I think you take on before that Alabama on the September 24th. So you got like a gauntlet of games that you have to go through.
Yeah, there's no break. I mean, and you look at a team like a South Carolina, and you would think from the outside looking in, right, a Vanderbilt and a South Carolina may be comparable, but historically, I mean, go back and look at the numbers, guys. Like historically, South Carolina has owned Vanderbilt. That's one team that Vanderbilt cannot get over. Even last year, had South Carolina on the ropes on the road. I believe it was a 20-7 fourth quarter lead and lost that game 21-20. Missouri's a team that you would think, all right, Vanderbilt should be, like you mentioned, beat that team a couple years ago, but you got to go to Columbia, Missouri to try to knock off those guys. Ole Miss, as we know, is incredibly daunting to face with that speed of their offense they got. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee has kind of lit the world on fire, especially toward the end of last year. That'll be a tough game, being a rivalry game at home. So, yeah, just not a lot of open dates on that schedule. But, the good news is for Vanderbilt fans is Clark Lee knows that. He prepares his team to understand that. They don't take anybody lightly. They know they have an uphill climb. If they play with, really, really consistent hard effort, they're going to be in some of these games. They just got to figure out a way to close them out in the end.
Exactly. Well, Chad, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Safe travels wherever you are in Kentucky, and hopefully you're not near that massive flooding issue up there.
No. We're all good down this way. I thank you guys a ton for having me on.
We'll keep in touch, okay?
All right. Yeah, you do. See you.
All right, man. I'll see you. Bye. All right, Adam. Thank you so much for keeping it going there. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Of course, Chris. I know the problem with it's called We Are Alive, so it's like
it's alive. We're having I think since we had this bad storm a month ago, I think everything's all been out of whack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had a really bad storm middle of July. And I feel like ever since we got the power back on, I think everything's we didn't have any hiccups for a while in this place. So anyway, we're gonna wrap up the show here with a sad note. You folks didn't know about my father, who has a car, and I know this sounds like right out of Home Improvement, but he's he sold this beautiful Mustang here, beautiful car,
Yeah, but
it's a Ford. 1968 Mustang, it's a Ford. Here at the Sports Desk, we want to say bye-bye Granny. Yeah, that's what we called it. So Adam, what do you think about that car? It looks
That's
really
not. I do love. I do love classic cars, Chris, and I gotta say that is a beautiful Ford Mustang. I know you probably spent a lot of good. I know you probably have a lot of good memories of riding in that.
Well, I haven't driven the car. I didn't even touch the driving car because my dad, it was his toy, and if I scratch it, I probably will not be here talking to you guys.
Oh wow! Wow, Chris.
Yeah, I'll probably be up in Canada doing the show and getting up there in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Oh wow, Chris.
Or Mexico, or Puerto Rico, or something like that. Just out of here. But it was a nice car. It was pretty cool to see, and he got it refurbished. But hopefully the person he sold it to will enjoy it and take really good care of it, because look at the paint. That's like the beautiful paint there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Chris.
Yeah, but but
it's still a Ford.
It's a Ford, but we got another. We have one in the garage. We have another one, the '98 Cobra. So
that's a nice car.
Oh, it's a stick shift, and I think somebody's going to get speeding tickets in Harford County, not me. But so we want to say before we go, bye, Granny. Yeah, nice to see you. So
bye, Granny.
Yeah, we called it Granny because my dad had names for the car. Granny. I don't know what he has for the Cobra. I think it's just Cobra. But anyway, folks, thanks for joining us tonight here on the program. We appreciate you. We'll be back here next Tuesday night. We'll do some. We'll keep our preview of. But we're going to talk Notre Dame football next week, hopefully. Because George should be back on the program. We'll try to talk Ohio State versus Notre Dame, because that's one of those big games in week one. Yeah, we like to talk about. Plus, we'll continue our preview of the week 0 games, and we have some interviews from the CA coaches I've been working on the side, so we'll get there as well. So, but before we go, we always do something here on the program. The top songs on this date. Music and music history. On this date in 1968, some band called The Doors, had a 2-week run of a song called "Hello, I Love You." Was a big hit here in 1968. And also we didn't do this. Forgot to do this. On this day in 1979, the Orioles were sold to Edward Benedict Williams, and a trial attorney in D.C. in 1979. Then you turn around in 1993. Okay, here's 1979. Okay, 1993, some guy named Angelos bought the team on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. Wow. Yeah.
Coincidence.
And look at it. He spent 173 million, nearly 50 million more than the team was paid for back in the 70s. That's crazy. So anyway. That's our day in sports history, but we'll leave you now with a little clip from The Doors. This is dated back to 1968, so hopefully you folks are enjoying that. So we'll see you all next Tuesday night here on the program.
Night.
Night.
Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello,